His shot. Through score, they score. They tie the game up 2-2.
Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Thea Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse.
Wow.
5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls on. And Arizona State wins it. Edwards pulls off and buries the block.
Daniels takes the shot for Kirby.
Oh, yes. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of Pitchfork Lunch. It is December 12th, Tuesday, December 12th. I am Michael Carrasino. You can find me at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. And see the show live there, Facebook, and the YouTube channel, Pitchfork Lunchers. You know it. I remind you every day as they are as you can go to the YouTube channel and subscribe as there's been a ton of interviews, as I've stated before, coaches, players, insiders, voices, people in the know, and it's all there. You can go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. It says M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 on YouTube, at MVC005 on YouTube. Subscribe. And just so you know, that the interviews, yes, that are there, again, hoping to have some coaches obviously on again, not hoping, working on, I should say, phrase right. Having coaches on again, and bug, sorry. But yeah, anything you've missed, again, there's a lot of again, getting to know coaches, their teams, content, all that good stuff, players, meeting them, talking about their sport, but just again, everything. So again, don't be bashful. Subscribe to the YouTube at MVC005. Oh, this fly's going to be driving me crazy the whole show, I can tell. But we shall get rid of the fly during commercial break. But yeah, I mean, anything you've missed, you'll see something. Hey, maybe you have some thoughts, all that good stuff. Thoughts, interviews, somebody you'd like to see, as we'll jump into it. So yeah, with that, pardon me, just looking at a note. But when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, again, let me know, shout outs. And again, a lot of all the show content is there, and you won't be missing out. So you'll know about things coming up. And again, with obviously, as we are in the final month of 2023, it's crazy to say that. It is crazy to say that. Um, But yeah, final month of 2023, fall sports with the wrap. Um, Final month of 2023, like I said, obviously fall season wrapping up. We started obviously with winter sports, hoops up and going, obviously hockey up and going as well. Um, and with the calendar set to turn towards the new year, obviously baseball and softball. Um, Baseball and softball will be getting going too. And again, the last season of the Pac-12 as we know it. And yeah, it's kind of it's kind not kind of, it is a full bummer. The salt still gets put in the wound, as they say, as I talk about it. And I mean, look, just the phenomenal season it was in volleyball, obviously. Golf as well. Um, yeah, men's and women's golf going to get going. Obviously, tennis going to get going too. Track and field, the success they had last year as well. Wrestling, how dare I forget wrestling, swimming as well. So it's just, again, hopefully can aiming to um hopefully we can get bring home a few more championships, Pac-12 wise, is what I was going to say. I look at these teams, and obviously, track is always. I mean, it's always just been, again, awesome watching competition in the Pac-12, and I mean, even being around ASU, the track athletes that have come through there, and for me, it's um for me, it's, I mean, I mean, even going out to track meets and having friends that ran track at ASU and friends that, I knew from high school that went to other schools that were Pac-12 schools that came back. Just always, I mean, again, yes, being an alum and a homer, but but that aside, it's been one of those things where sport wise, it's just, and again, with swimming as well. I mean, possible Olympians, future Olympians, and well, first you think of, and a Pac-12 champ, possibly an NCAA champ, and then moving on to the Olympics as well. So that have been in the Pac-12, and even local Arizona kids that have covered at the prep level, the high school level. So it's a sport that, yeah, I mean, and in the Big 12 has some amazing tradition. The Big 12 has some amazing tradition, and um and track and swimming have both, like I said, been amazing traditions. And in this conference alone, I mean, yes, at ASU, focus on, but just in general, the conference alone, um, Olympians that have went in, swimming, track, wrestling. Um, there's definitely a pipeline with the school, yes, and the conference as well. Um, um, and So, I mean, that's a bummer to this too. I mean, yes, football, obviously the venues, and it is frustrating because of not having USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, and now Oregon State and Washington State. I mean, we'll see what happens there. They're trying to block, and I'm reaching out to a few people that have been covering it on that side with going forward with Washington State. They actually put a stop on the rest of, or the Pac-12, other Pac-12 schools getting the money. And again, you say you have to look out for your best interest, but as a conference, like, I think you'd appreciate the partnerships with other schools, as they're also looking out for you to see what's going in these other conferences, grabbing schools, money makers. But don't tell me Maryland football wise is a money maker. And I'm not ripping on Maryland. I love the University of Maryland. Actually, I'm just saying, like, Big Ten wise, if you think of like Maryland, um, uh, Rutgers, again, okay, on the way back. But I mean, at the same time, like, Rutgers, being from Jersey, no, quite a few people that have went to Rutgers. But it's also one of those things where, you know, Oregon, and with talking, says to the Big Ten, hey, Oregon State, our rivals, Washington could have done the same thing with Washington State. And it's frustrating to me. I mean, people say USC and UCLA didn't really look out for Cal and Stanford. Yes, they're all in California, but I mean, think of geographically, Northern Southern California. So they're way up in Northern California, and they're both going to the ACC. So they'll continue to play each other. But yeah, I mean, not having Stanford and Cal, and to me, it's frustrating because that's the frustrating part. Like, being a Sun Devil, having been to all the Pac-12, well, Pac-10 and current Pac-12 venues throughout the years. It's just, and there's some good new ones coming up. I'm not saying, I've said this a million times. You can expand, like, evolving doesn't mean you can evolve, but you don't have to wreck. You can evolve, you don't have to wreck. And like I said, for the Pac, especially in basketball, I mean, going to, Pauley Pavilion to play UCLA. Baseball wise too, we have Willie Bloomquist on. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can go check it out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check out again the interview with Willie Bloomquist. And I mean, it's just those rivalries with UCLA. Obviously, yes, Arizona and ASU and Arizona both going to the Big 12, which, again, you wouldn't hope they'd separate, because I mean, that would, well, probably make the team down south happy when they don't have to, lose to us a ton. But I mean, for ASU, I mean, you look at these sports, like I said, entering the season as we charge towards the new year. I digress. Long story short, too late. But as we charge into the new year, it's just getting closer, and it's more of a reality. And yes, when football, they announced the away games, or where ASU would be playing next year in the Big 12, home and away. Yeah, I mean, it's settling in, and you wish something could really happen, not at the 11th hour, but like at the 23rd hour and 59th minute. But contracts were signed, they're not going backwards. There's no TV deal, which money runs it. And then now you get, like I said, there's no problem with following sport, but there's going to be no true conference champion. And the 12-team playoff now is just going to be as big of a mess. So even if you have a big four instead of a power five, you have a big four now. The 12 is going to be a mess because, okay, like within the conference, and even if you got rid of non-conference games, right, within the Big 10, the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, even if you got rid of non-conference games, which that would, I mean, I think infuriate people even more. Well, not the ones where, you know, the where all these schools, and I will say mostly, you know, the pathetic SEC, you know, schedules these schools, but yet they should get credit for those games, huge credit for those games, and a good amount of credit, and then get even bigger credit for conference games, which are supposed to be tough, but yeah. Okay, exactly. So, and people have debated with me on this all the time. It's supposed to be hard. You don't expect NFL teams to go undefeated. And that's why I think a lot of casual fans throughout the years, if you're not, even if, like, yes, if you're alma mater of a school, but people that say that love college football might say more like, you know, for the traditions and the pageantry, but just the playoff of it, you know, yeah, we started from, you know, forever. Um, 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 you know, and when and you look at it, I mean, from the Pac-12 standpoint, like it's going to be a mess. Well, not this year, but next year it's going to be a mess because it'll be like, oh, well, look at what they did. Um, but you can't have a true conference champion and then, you know, saying, oh, they deserve to be in. And I think that where I'm getting with the casual fans is, yeah, back in the day it was, you know, the AP and the coaches poll would usually line up, you know, whoever was playing in that, you know, national championship game. There were a few times where there were co-champions, and I think it happened with it was Michigan and Washington was the last because they didn't play in a bowl game, so they're playing really good teams, but you know they're in the Rose Bowl, whatever it was, but. That being said, like you had to get so the BCS comes in. And I literally as a skeptic and as a cynic, and a lot of you know that, especially those that I've had the conversations with about, you know, national champions. I literally think the BCS only got it wrong. If you're going to do it with a computer and you know, put whatever, you know, obviously wins, losses, stats, schedule, strength of schedule. If you're going to do it with a computer, I literally thought there was only 1 year. And again, I wasn't a big fan of the games sometimes, but I think there was only 1 year that the BCS didn't get it right. But I still think we would have had the same champion. When Miami destroyed Nebraska in the Rose Bowl, sorry, Husker fans, when Miami destroyed Nebraska in the Rose Bowl, it should have been Miami and Oregon playing. Now, I still think Miami wins, but that year with that Oregon team would have been a much better game. That was the year the BCS computer completely got it wrong, and it was a joke. Miami just blew him off the field. I remember seeing Andre Johnson. I was at that game, and the way Andre Johnson played, just the way the whole Miami team played, Nebraska had no chance, none, and they had 3.5 weeks to get ready for that game. But it's and then you fast forward to, okay, you have a power five in conferences, but you're going to go to 4. And I've said it a million times. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. Absolutely dumb. It should have went from 2 to 12. You would have stopped this ridiculous conference jumping and regional rivalries, which, getting back to the fans, especially whatever conference you're in. And yes, I rip on the SEC, but the traditions, the games, all that. Like, you're going to keep certain games and they're going to play. Like, yes, you go to the Big 12, but ASU and U of A are going to play every year, as they should. And in the Big 10, Ohio State and Michigan, yes, they're going to play every year, as they should. In the SEC, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, like, those games need to stay every year, and then you can rotate, obviously, in conference other ones, because you're not going to have a true conference champion. I mean, this wouldn't surprise me if the SEC literally just played like that one rivalry game and just try to schedule directionals all the rest of the season. One tough game out of conference, and then 3 games, and then just directionals, because they're going to go to the playoff anyway, because yet they deserve it. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Alabama has no business being there. And people say, you're just bitter. No, I respect talent. A 4th and goal from the 32. You really think, okay, and that's what I've said to a few people. You really think Alabama converts a 4th and goal from the 31, 32-yard line on Michigan? Doubt it. Hugely doubt it. Washington, not happening. On Florida State. If that game was close, 4th and goal from the 32 against Florida State's defense, no freaking way. And they get credit for doing it against Auburn. Okay. Oh, and then of course it's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry game for them. It's adjusting the goalpost for the SEC, and it's a joke. It's a joke, and it has nothing to do with talent. I see the talent. I know. But when you're playing schools that don't have the depth, that starting wise might be able to match up and ball with you for, a quarter, a half, but inevitably don't have the depth, the talented depth to ball against you. And the Pac-10, Pac-12's done it for years too. I've done that. But anyway, I digress. We're talking hoops today too, a little more transfer portal, because there's another visit coming this weekend. Another player coming to visit this weekend that probably doesn't want to go play in the Big 10, because that's why he was at USC. And again, it's all about the student athlete, right? I mean, I hope he doesn't end up here at ASU. I really do. And I will get to that. But it's all it did, not going from 2 to 12 after the BCS, going to 4. Now, had you went to 8, I think you would have also, it wouldn't have been this thing about conference jumping, because the schools that went would get the money. Yes, you're sharing a portion with the conference, but USC, well, you weren't good enough to go to games and get in the playoff anyway. Fired a coach, and then, now you brought in Lincoln Riley, and last year lost to Utah twice. I thought Utah should have been there. They had a tough loss up at Oregon, and Cam Rising was still playing. He unfortunately got hurt in the Rose Bowl, didn't play this year. But if you would have went from 2 to 8 and would have listened to people instead of just rushing it, the SEC, let's go 4 because we deserve 2. 2 spots are automatically ours. I mean, it was a joke. And they shouldn't be. And again, no schools, no conference should ever get huge credit for those games. But when they lose, at least you had minimal, very, very, very minimal. Like it should, chances are, drop them in it should drop them in the rankings. And if they win, but a spot or 2. But that being said, like, if you would have went from 2 to 8 with the Power 5, okay, all 5 conference champions, they're in. You win the conference, and then if somebody, the Alabama-Georgia situation, Georgia would have been in, Florida State would have been in. And then Florida State would have been in anyway because they were the ACC champs, right? So you would have had Washington, Texas, Michigan, Alabama, and Florida State. Okay, so they're in 3 more spots. Well, Okay, Georgia. You can say after their season. Okay, fine. I know people will be clamoring for Ohio State. I would say then you get Georgia, which is 6, and then the highest from group of 5, their conference champ, 7, and then there's only 1. So you'd be debating probably between Ohio State and Oregon, which to me, Oregon would have been the better pick anyway, because, I mean, you just look at explosivity. Yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. said freak. Anyway, got off the tangent, but I'm going to step aside. When we get back, we're going to jump more into the transfer portal. Like I said, who's coming to visit. Again, just a reminder of who's already committed to, the public D1 transfer commits. Mind that. And then we'll also jump into, obviously, hockey. I want to talk more about that today because, again, they had 2 shootout wins versus Dartmouth. But those go down as ties. Record-wise, no shootout, but we'll dive into more hockey. Again, Coach Power's doing such a phenomenal job, and they're not going to be back, like I said, at Mull until after the new year as they hit the road this weekend and then New Year's weekend. They hit the road as well, too. But we'll talk that. We'll talk a little more hoops and transfer portal. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but again, the ending of the Pac-12 as we know it is very frustrating. And it shouldn't have happened. And it goes to leadership. Like, you can just say, not just the commissioners. Yes, that's a big thing, but they work for the presidents, and the presidents screwed this up royally as well. So that being said, anyway, step aside. We'll get back, talk a little more transfer portal for ASU, and then hoops and hockey as well here on Pitchfork Lunch. man, just little stuff. I'm going to come back with, stuff again throughout the fall, whether it be football, volleyball. Start doing that. Just stuff from out at practice. Again, that's Xavier Guillory, who had a good, awesome start to the season, but unfortunately, one of the many, I can't say few, that hit the mass unit for ASU, and look at it, but and this team and the staff's been busy. I mean, Coach Dillingham talked about O-line being A, B, C, D, and E, and recruit-wise, there's been recruits that have been in. Transfer portal-wise, again, I mentioned it yesterday, and we're going to talk a little transfer portal here. And there's 8 portal guys that have publicly committed to ASU. And it's some holes, and there are some guys again going to the draft, guys that are moving on, other guys that they hit the transfer portal as well. That they've done a great job too, and so far. And again, there's 2 tight ends. Got 2 tight ends. A few DBs, a quarterback, and a few defensive linemen. So, yesterday I mentioned one of the Marcuston Douglas from Florida State, tight end, also another tight end, Cameron Harpool from San Diego State, and then Javen Robinson, a corner from Washington State, also Laterance Welch, a defensive back from LSU, and then Jordan Crook, Justin Woodley, and JP Dieter, defensive lineman. And Justin Woodley's from Cincinnati, Crook from Arkansas, and Dieter from Purdue. And then Sam Levitt, the quarterback, again from Mississippi State as well. For Mississippi State. And there's it's a solid list. And coming in this weekend is a USC player. It's in the transfer portal. He's a wide receiver, running back, Raleek Brown, and he was the number 23 overall prospect in the transfer portal. Is scheduled to visit ASU this weekend. Again, another elite athlete, and he has 3 seasons left of eligibility. So he can transfer once. Again, you can't transfer twice. And again, got to give a big shout out to Connor Smith for walking me through this, because in reading it, I know it's not unlimited, but you can transfer once. I mean, you can transfer twice, but if you transfer a second time before graduating, then you are you have to sit out for the year. So it was like a mix of new rules with old rules. You commit, you get one transfer, and then, but if you graduate, you can be a grad transfer and you can play right away. But if you transfer twice, it's one of those things where if you transfer twice, then yes, before you graduate, you do have to sit out the year. Yes, guys do apply for waivers. Not too many had success in football. As we know, Jake Smith for ASU and came from USC as well, local kid, but and also Xavier Alford, both of theirs got denied. And Coach Dillingham talked about Jake Smith. When we were back up at Camp T, about how and his didn't get approved, even though one would think that one would think that, doctors saying things and then taking a route and then USC saying, well, you can't, and you get cleared. You work back to get cleared. With Jake Smith again, and people are, of course, going to go to bat for their players, a program. Of course, the coach is going to say, people say, well, what else is the coach going to say? And didn't deserve it. They went after a guy that, you're going to do your due diligence. And even if he did have to sit out a year, I'm not saying that they don't go after Jake Smith and bring him in, but that's, again, whole NCAA thing. And look, Jaden Rashada tweeted out a picture of Ron Artest it's a picture of Ron Artest and Kobe Bryant, and it's a split screen. It's Artest literally in the face of the great Kobe Bryant, and then Kobe Bryant on the right after hitting a big hoop, just kind of letting it out. It seems like, and he for Jaden Rashada, the message, right? It's kind of easy to see the parallel. It's it's easy to see what he's thinking. It's the whole Mamba mentality. It's it's easy to see the parallel there, because again, you bring in, you get a quarterback that transfers in, and and yeah, you can see what, what's coming in, and Jaden Rashada, it's the Mamba mentality. There's going to be competition. Can you raise your game? And I talked about it yesterday. It's And like I said, I don't think Coach Dillingham obviously is gonna the way Coach Dillingham is again with players being upfront, knowing what um but yeah, with Sam Levitt, pardon me, from Michigan State coming in. I mean, look, that's a perfect you're going to have to compete anywhere you go. I don't think any coach is going to bring you in a transfer portal and say, "Oh, the job is yours." I mean, if again, unless you have no quarterbacks on your roster, at this time of year, which again would be very odd, or if whatever, say you lose one of the draft and all your other quarterbacks decide, "Hey, we're going to bolt and hit the transfer portal," then you might be talking to a guy and say, "This job is yours to lose." Now, not that there's not going to be competition, because again, you want to see what a player has. We all understand that, but I love the tweet from Jaden Rashada. And again, just being around the young man this year and understanding, again, everything that happened with Florida, coming to Arizona State. Like I said, Coach Dillingham had been, noticing him for a while, been recruiting him. And so he gets him to come to Arizona State, where his dad had played, where Harlan Rashad had played. And yeah, he had to compete. And it looked like maybe Drew Pine would have been named the starter. And then he got hurt up at Camp T. And, Rashada was the starter. And you saw the arm talent. Yes, there are times like Coach said, you see these plays and you're like, all right. And then you see other plays like, okay, he's a freshman. But that's the one thing you want to see. And by the way, I know it had nothing to do with being bitter. He's at LSU, but congrats to Jaden Daniels. Yeah, it may have been about three years early on it, but or 3.5 years early on it, but 3 years early. But Jaden Daniels, obviously the Heisman Trophy winner. Again, the numbers he put up are sick. He had a hell of a season. I still don't agree with it, because I still think Michael Penix Jr. whole season, and yes, I get it. People that if LSU was undefeated, they would be talking about how LSU's undefeated and no wins, losses, this and that. Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal season. I'm not saying wait, Michael undefeated. What Washington did. I think still led the nation in yards. And yes, the game against ASU, people could say, "Oh, well, again, they won the game. They didn't have any offensive touchdowns, so they won the game." I mean, so they won all their games. So, but again, as a talent and what he can do, congratulations to Jaden Daniels on being the Heisman Trophy winner. Again, his time here at ASU, you could see, growth. And when you have an NFL caliber wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk, that definitely helped development. When you have even a guy like Frank Darby, the running game that they had, but again, he grew. You saw that as a freshman, beating Michigan State here, and then going on the road, winning in East Lansing. It's just fun when the Big Ten gets smacked around by the Pac-12, like when Oregon went into Columbus, but there was an excuse for Ohio State the rest of the season. Oregon beat you down without the best defensive player in the country. That's kind of funny, Ohio State. But yeah, you don't talk about that because you'll just go play North, South, Western, Eastern Tech in Ohio and tout on that victory. I know. I'm a wise ass. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, no, for Rashada, I mean, look, he competed. He competed, and he was in. Yes, he was here for spring ball. It helped, and then Drew Pine transferred in, was here in the summer, and unfortunately got injured, and now Pine transferring as well. But yeah, I mean, the Mamba mentality, like he knows where he was at, and then even playing against Arizona, again, the red shirt because he only played in 3 games. So that's again, so that's awesome. But that he kept his red shirt, not that he had an injury because that pretty much sucked. But yeah, I mean, the competition, it's going to be there, and some Mamba mentality, and coaches in recruiting, again, like I say, the whole thing with NIL and the whole money thing, but like, yeah, you can look at a guy's tape, but how does he compete? How does he bounce back from adversity? How does he take on a team that's whatever, been very challenged at the high school level or even in the transfer portal? But you have to, that fire inside that burns when you're an athlete and competitor. For Jaden Rashada is definitely there. And when you talk to him, I just think he got to grow a lot. I think, Trenton Bourget coming back, more so of that extra coach on the field, and a very, very competent and serviceable backup. But I think Rashada has, and again, I mean, it's competition. It's what's going to make you better. And after a 3-9 season, guys, I mean, like you definitely want that. And to come back hungry. And I loved it. I saw the tweet yesterday and I was like, or last night, I should say. And I'm like, good for him. I just, again, if he would have chosen to transfer, if, he felt that, because he didn't transfer to ASU, he was released, and his from, well, you know what? I don't want to speak out of turn. I will double check on that, because I remember last year even talking, like camp talking about it, but like he was released from Florida, and so he could, because I mean, it was yeah. So anyway, nonetheless, but I mean, he could have been like, with Coach Dillingham, I understand you need a backup, but with Trenton coming back, but hey, I mean, look, good for him. And again, attacking the tight ends. I mean, Jalen Conyers obviously gone. With Jalen Conyers, you land 2 tight ends, and that's huge. Andre Johnson, by the way, entered the transfer portal. And I always love talking to Andre Johnson. I just think each year I know he got a little banged up this year. Again, was huge on special teams this year. Again, targets wise, the other receivers, again, going through quarterbacks, offensive line struggles with injuries. And again, with him getting banged up and other, receivers out there just not getting in the rotation as much. And Andre Johnson, again, always great, talking to him and just how he even grew as a receiver. I mean, I thought, going into this year, I thought he would have, a bigger role coming, whether he's lined up on the outside or, more so in the slot on, in trips formations. But, I always loved talking to Andre Johnson. So I'll be interested to see where he ends up. Also, Navi Bruzone from Liberty, the quarterback from Liberty. He just led Liberty to an open division state title at quarterback. And he was also the Gatorade Player of the Year in 2022. And again, a preferred walk-on. And Chris Cartman said it best. He goes, "This is about as high profile as preferred walk-on could be at ASU." So Navi Bruzone, again, local kid staying here. And again, we'll see, he can definitely come in and we'll see, again, challenge, as a freshman, but we'll see what he does. But haven't seen the kid play the last 2 years a few times. It is impressive what this lefty can do. So he's so he's again going to be here in Tempe, and but yeah, I like it. You get 2 tight ends, 2 defensive backs, defensive lineman, a quarterback, and then now we have Raleek Brown, again, one of the best just athletes in the portal, and he'll be coming to and Chris Cartman, again, got to have him on, but he's Raleek Brown is quoted as saying, "I feel the fit. I like the fit and how they plan to use me. Coach Sample sees me as a player who can make big plays at running back and also move around and play in the slot a little and return kicks." So, again, that'd be a big get. And we saw, again, just parts of the team take strides last year. The defense, yes, overall, the defense had a hell of a year. Yes, the injury bug, unfortunately, caught up to them. But yeah, so again, transfer portal going crazy, and I love it. I love this part of it, but it's going to be very interesting. You can reshape your roster, and you can have massive improvement now. But like I said, I am going to shift to hockey because the men's team, again, men's hockey, they are, again, just number 13 in the country. They're absolutely crushing it. And again, I love what Sun Devil alum, what Coach Powers is doing. And again, I'm looking forward, again, efforting to catching up with Coach Powers as, we go into the as we go into the new year. But yeah, this team right now, 11-3-4. They have 10 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties at home. They are 1-1-2 on the road, and in their in a scrimmage, they beat Arizona's club team 16-0. But yeah, they've they swept Merrimack early on, who was number 15. They split with, again, number 2 Denver. The 6-5 in overtime, then they lost 8-4. Providence, they split with Providence. They won 4-3 in overtime and then lost 2-1. They lost 2-1 to Providence. They're, number 9. And now you have Dartmouth, who, again, they got 2 shootout wins, but 2 draws. And again, they did the shootout, but it doesn't, again, even though it's win, doesn't go in as a win. And like I said, this Saturday they're taking on Robert Morris. They're headed to Pittsburgh. That's where Robert Morris is at. And they take him on Friday at 5 o'clock local time, and then Saturday at Saturday at 5 o'clock local time, Sunday at 3 o'clock local time. But yeah, I mean, just to look at what this team, I mean, what this team has done, they have a few guys. So Matthew Copperred and Tyler Gratton both are co-leaders in goals with 8 goals. And then Dylan Jackson has 7. And he also had the hat trick, his second of his career, had 1 this year. So Dylan Jackson, 7 goals on the season. Lucas Sillinger has 5. Alex Young, he has 6 goals. And then you got quite a few guys with, a few guys with 3, and then quite a few guys with 2. But it's so Brandon Tabakin also leads the team in plus minus with plus 13. But I mean, look, it's what again they're doing. And I mean, yeah, you see some of the scores and people say, oh, college hockey. And yeah, there's some low. I mean, they've had a few lower scoring games. I think the defense as the season goes through comes around. But I mean, with what they've been doing, I mean, Coach Powers, I mean, Cole Gordon is hell of a face-off guy. He's won Brian Chambers has won 200 face-offs. And he's lost 201, but Cole Gordon, I mean, 53 to 48. Tyler Gratton, 19 to 15. Kyle Smolin has won 68, 79, but still, I mean, just a very good, especially where you're winning them. I mean, on the power play, if you're facing off and you're in your offensive zone, to overstate the obvious. Yes, hockey fans, I know you want to win that, but yeah, I mean, just the way, again, they seem to adjust from game 1 to game 2 of a I mean, Merrimack, they won 1-0 in overtime, then they beat them 4-2. They played Northern Michigan. They won 3-2 and 5-1. They lost to Miami of Ohio on the road 5-4, and then, they tied 1-1. They beat Stonehill 5-4 and then 3-2. Denver, like I said, 6-5. The goals didn't go down. Well, the goals they allowed, but then they lost 8-4. But then they beat Alaska Anchorage 4-3, and then they shut them out 3-0. Providence, you win 4-3 in overtime. Okay, then they lost 2-1. Both teams, again, making big adjustments that second night. Providence gets a win. Like I said, Colorado College, they tied 2-2 and then beat 2-0. And then Dartmouth, like I said, 4-4 and then 1-1. So it's just, both teams are making them, but the adaptability and, what Coach Powers and the team has done so far. Like I said, they have Robert Morris coming up on the road in Pittsburgh. I wonder if phenomenal SID Doug Tamaro might see if he can get out to that one. Probably not, but it would be pretty awesome if he could. And then December 29th and 30th, they're in the Adirondack Winter Invitational, which is in Lake Placid, New York. So the 29th and 30th, they will be there. And then they return home for the Desert Hockey Classic, where UMass Lowell, Omaha, and Harvard will be joining the Sun Devils and playing in the Desert Hockey Classic. January 5th, again, get it on your calendars, 3:30 local time is the first game on January 5th, where UMass Lowell will take on Omaha. And then at 7 on January 5th, which is a Friday. They are taking on Harvard. Harvard's in town. Yes, I know. It's not too bad of a thing, but yeah, Harvard's in town. And that's at 7 p.m. on Friday. And then Saturday, the first game between either Harvard and UMass Lowell or Omaha will be at 3:30. And then again at 7 o'clock, ASU will take on either UMass Lowell or Omaha. So again, January 5th and 6th, again, get it on your calendars right after the new year. Let's get back to it. Let's get out there and rock the support of hockey. But again, love what they've done so far. 11-3-4, but this is a team that could be, 13-5, let's say, if they didn't have the ties. But love what they're doing. And even if, say they were, 9-9 basically right now. If they were 500. I love what they're doing, how they're stepping forward. And again, just so stoked with what Coach Powers has. Greg Powers, Alex Hicks, Albie O'Connell, and Dana Borges, the coaching staff. So again, it's exciting, and hockey again has been rocking. So stoked when it started up at ASU. And again, for those that have been to Mullet Arena, you know how awesome it's been, just due to the fact that it was an Oceanside Ice Arena, which was very intimate. Let's just put it what it was. It was small, very intimate, but again, they made it work, and Mullet Arena got done, and now they are, on campus, and it is, again, just absolutely phenomenal. So get out there, support hockey. I know, again, like I said, won't be back in Tempe till, practicing, yes, but game-wise till January 5th. So we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining here on Pitchfork Lunch again. Follow me on X, artist formerly known as Twitter, at Diablo00. Thoughts, conversations. Hell, you want to have a debate, fun little conversation with me? Again, I'll see. We'll weigh it out, see what comes on. But hit me up at Diablo00. Want to get involved with the show. Also, you can see it live on Facebook and YouTube. You know it. Subscribe to the YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005 on YouTube. Subscribe. Shows, content, interviews, everything, all there. Subscribe, share the shows, binge watch them. Like I say, like the shows. It's a holiday season. You get caught up. Get to know obviously a lot of the volleyball team, as we had Coach Van Neal on twice. We also have Jelly Sear on twice, but Marta Levinska, Maddie McLaughlin, Mary Schroll, Roberta Habello. So Claire Jeter as well. So again, they're all there. Coaches, they're there. Got more coaches coming up this week as well. So, and hopefully insider as well. But, got stuff brewing behind the scenes for you. So everybody have a great rest of your Taco Tuesday, as they all call it. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. And I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And on the way out, enjoy some stuff I got from volleyball and football. Wait, real quick, enjoy it. But yes, I couldn't forget to say, I didn't forget you. As always, Sun Devil Nation, let's root the Devils on to victory. But as always, forks up.
Terry's three.
Johnny Walker matching up against his control. His shot. Bruce score, they score. They tie the game up 2-2.
Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls off. And Arizona State wins it. Edward pulls off and buries the puck.
Daniels takes the shot